Hello, everybody. Welcome to Let's Talk Football. My name is John Halpin alongside Chris Palmer. Chris Palmer, how we doing, my brother?
Doing good, man, especially on account of what is coming this weekend.
Ooh, we've been waiting for so long for this episode. This is it. This is the Ravens and Steelers first matchup, and we're going to be having a very special episode on this rivalry. But man, before we get into that, let's talk about last week's games. And we have, boy, do we have a wonderful slate of Thanksgiving games. We had the Chicago Bears coming out with a strong I wouldn't say strong, but escaping Detroit on Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
16-14. Hey, Justin Fields
got it done.
he didn't get it done, but Andy Dalton was the one that got it done.
Right.
I gotta say though,
right.
Andy Dalton looks good in the beard. I will say that.
Fuck Andy Dalton, dude.
Fuck Andy Dalton. He does look good in the beard, though. I will say that.
If Justin Fields on the field, this game would have been fucking 2-possession game or more. But we aren't going to talk about that, neither here or there. Detroit has a lot of issues. You and I kind of tried to watch that game and see exactly what was going on. There's not a lot of good going anywhere out of Detroit.
Yeah, it's upsetting because they may go winless this year.
Yeah.
But we're gonna keep an eye on Detroit later. I mean, we talked previously about a lot of Detroit and their flaws last week in last week's episode. But man, it's tough for them, and they just may go winless. But let's move on to the middle game in that slate of Thanksgiving games, and that was the Las Vegas Raiders and the Dallas Cowboys in overtime. The Raiders coming away with a win, 36-33. Your thoughts on that game?
I think that was the most exciting game of the week. You and I kind of called that one. This one was going to be a real barn burner of a game, and they didn't disappoint. Vegas came to play. Dallas came to play. Those are two of the best offenses in the league today, right now. Vegas unfortunately has some real issues, but they're hot and they're very heavy-handed and they're very high-scoring of a team, going up against a very well-statted defense that has been having some issues as of late, which we have spoke about. But again, that run game is lethal. So the run game will keep you in the game and will keep you scoring a lot of points. So that was a great game to watch.
It was. And the final game on Thanksgiving was the Buffalo Bills coming away with a win in New Orleans, 31-6. I told you, Josh, I could just see Josh Allen biting the leg of that turkey. And that's exactly what he did. He was biting the leg right off that turkey.
Yeah. Again, very another pronouncing game from Buffalo, just showing them that they are, again, one of the highest scoring teams in the league with one of the best defenses. However, there's always that injury.
There is. Cornerback Tre'Davious White for the Buffalo Bills is injured with a torn ACL, and he's expected to be out for the rest of the season. And that is a huge loss for Buffalo going forward. And he is one of their best players on defense, because that defense is a very cohesive unit, and to lose a significant part of that, who plays a very key role in stopping number one wide receivers,
could potentially be detrimental.
Yeah, so we're going to keep an eye on that going forward. But let's move on to the games on Sunday, and starting with the New York Jets coming away with over the Houston Texans, 21-14. Close, but a win's a win.
A win is a win. Again, it's the Jets. There's not much good to come out of them. It's ugly. It's rough. But it's tough. They fight. They play good. I think they play pretty stout defense. I'm not saying it's great, but there are glimpses where you're watching some shit happen where there's 6-7 different Jets swarming towards the ball, and you're like, I want more of that, and then you don't see it for 2 quarters.
Yeah,
and that's where the issues lie, is that it's inconsistency in the stuff that they're really good at. They're a defensive-minded team. They should really be starting to focus on a run game and more so management and so forth on the inside of the office. But on the team, their defense is good, and they just need to learn how to be more consistent of a dominant defense, because they have glimpses of it where teams can't do anything against the Jets.
Yeah. Yes, the Jets are one of those teams where they do have the pieces and the foundations of a good team, but it's cohesiveness, it's chemistry, it's team effort. It's a team sport. It's the ultimate team sport, and you can't have just a few good players. You got to have a good team. And the Jets seem this year again. The Jets are one of those teams where don't expect wins. Expect to see progress. And I think what you're seeing with the Jets is those small glimpses. That's the progress. That's what they should be striving for.
That's what they should be, but that's where their coaching is flawed, and that is where they're coming up short because they are not hounding that. That when you see those glimpses of greatness, it's like, why aren't you guys getting drilled into your head? This is what we need to be doing every week because it's not there every week.
Mm-hmm.
And the weeks that it's not there and you guys roll over on your back, it becomes a very big issue.
Yeah. And I got to say, the Jets are just one of those teams where it's like they thrive. They do their best when it's on the defensive side of the ball. And I also want to say the other New York team, the New York Giants, are the same way. They played their best way when defensively, and they came away with a strong win over the Philadelphia Eagles, 13-7. Low scoring affair, but man, to limit Jalen Hurts and that Eagles offense to 7 points. We were saying it before. Jalen Hurts is a baller.
He's a baller.
And it's just so exciting to see Philly just ball out. But the Giants said, enough with that.
Right. They said, hang on a second. We are the better managed team here. Here we come, and now heads are going to start turning and seeing who is on the Giants defense. Who's the ballers? There are some ballers in the Giants defense that are going under the radar right now. I don't even know their names right now, but to hold Philly, that's where my mind goes. I think that's where a lot of Giants fans are going to go too, where they're going to start doing their own research and seeing who's on our defense, who is really starting to make those waves, and they're going to start investing in the Giants again. I think this was a more of like a momentum shift for the Giants for years to come. Because they were always I always remember them as an offensive hungry team with a few great defensive players, greatly knowing Michael Strahan, but their offense was the one that pushed them on the ball. Their defense won them that game with force. That game.
Yes, and to do it against the Eagles, that is a significant divisional win. So the Giants are staying alive-ish. They're kind of there. They're alive within their own division.
As weak as that division is, amongst themselves, you find some pretty scrappy play between them all. They're all clawing, and that's what you like to see out of such a weak division overall. They're fighting, and they're fighting tough when they play each other. And that's what we like to see because it's, okay, you can keep it to yourself for now, but in time, maybe you guys will start playing more competition.
You know what I like to see? I like to see rivalry games.
I do too.
I love them rivalry games. And speaking of rivalry game, you actually had one last week against the Cincinnati Bengals and lost 41-10. At one point, the score was 41-3, but
right.
My God, what happened?
A lot happened. A lot went down. But again, both of those scores, if you think about it, it's not all that surprising. It's kind of true to character for both teams. I'm a Steelers fan, and I'm going to say that, and it hurts to say that it's true to character for Cincinnati that they are a high-scoring team, one of the highest-scoring teams in the league. Pittsburgh is not. We struggle putting points on the board, but where we usually thrive at is keeping the game low when our pieces are healthy. We didn't have Minkah Fitzpatrick that game. Like you were saying off air about having holes and not being able to fill them for number one receivers, especially with Tre'Davious White, like you were saying. Minkah Fitz is a big number one receiver stopper. Mm-hmm. Without him, we had no answer for Jamar Chase. We had no answer.
I actually just want to correct you for a second. Minkah Fitz was actually played that game. He actually had an interception that game.
I forgot about that, actually. I'm sorry.
So
I digress.
So, but you're right, though. Philly – I'm sorry, not Philly. But Cincinnati, you and I were speaking about this off air. They they're a high-scoring team, but they did it through a different means of what they normally do. You expect it to be with Jamar Chase and obviously the rest of that receiving core, which is nasty. But they did it. They did it with Joe Mixon, their running back. They ran more times than they actually threw the ball. And Joe Mixon had a really good day, a really strong day, and I think that really threw you guys off because as good as your defense is, it's it's really tough to stop a team that's committed to the run game.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll talk more about the Steelers this episode, but for the Bengals, it was a strong win over the Steelers. But I want to move on to another game, which was the Atlanta Falcons coming over with a strong win over the Jacksonville Jaguars, 21-14. Does this game matter?
No,
it does.
No, it doesn't matter when you beat Jacksonville. You're gonna beat Jacksonville. It's like you're going up against Detroit. It's a padding to your record.
Well, I mean,
sure, it matters that way because again, it's such lack of competition in Jacksonville. You're looking at it like you're looking at Detroit 2.0. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry though. I'm not sorry.
But I will say this: it's not necessarily a guarantee to beat Jacksonville because Buffalo lost to Jacksonville earlier this year.
I understand.
So teams,
again,
if a team is asleep,
given Sunday,
yes,
it just happens.
If a team is asleep, Jacksonville will catch them because
for sure.
And this was a good game for Atlanta to stay awake. And if they have any chance, if they have any hope of a making it to the playoffs as like a wild card or something, it's a good game to stay alive.
Yeah, I'd say it's a good game to stay alive as well. But again, they just got lucky they didn't kill themselves.
Yeah.
Atlanta is famously known that they just choke and they don't know how to close games out when they're up by more than one possession. They won this one because, again, there's the lack of talent and lack of coaching and lack of skill level in Jacksonville playing Atlanta just with a much better offense. So, again, I don't see it. Again, that's like it's a schedule padding.
Yeah.
The padding of the schedule. You have to beat Jacksonville no matter who you are.
You should beat Jacksonville no matter who you are.
Right.
But nevertheless, we're going to move on to a pretty compelling game, which was the New England Patriots coming away with a strong win over the Tennessee Titans, 36-13. Now, you and I we talked about this last week very briefly, but we said that it was the week prior the Titans lost to the Texans, and we said that it was probably the worst time for the Titans to have lost a game because you just gave Bill Belichick fresh film to look at 100%. For that defense. And that defense just swallowed everything the Titans threw at them. It was tough sledding. Obviously, Titans are really not the same without Derrick Henry, and they also have a lot of injuries as well. But again, every team is pretty much hurt now. Yeah. But
you got to give the hats off to New England, man. Mac Jones is playing great.
Mac Jones is playing great, and that team is playing
unbelievable.
Like a complementary football to the highest degree, where that defense is ferocious and attacking and getting after the football, and the offense is not giving the football away and coming over and cashing out.
And that's just classic Bill Belichick.
And so them and the Buffalo Bills, they have an important game this coming week on Monday Night Football. That is going to be an exciting game to watch. We'll talk briefly about that.
That might be game of the week.
That might be the game of the week, but I think we might have the game of the week.
Well,
but we'll see.
The way the report card goes, yes.
We'll
talk about that.
We'll see. But moving on, the Miami Dolphins came away with a strong win over the Carolina Panthers, 33-19. Man, Miami Tua, they're playing good. They're playing complementary football.
Yes.
That defense is really starting to click, and that offense is really starting to find its way. Where it's like, look, we don't have to go for the spectacular plays. We just gotta take the opportunities that are presented in front of us, and cash out when you have to. And Miami was just, hey, we're taking this game.
Well, yeah, but you also got to look at the disarray that was really happening in Carolina between everyone's noses. It's once again, Christian McCaffrey is hurt. And I'm going to say this for the record now. He is the single most unreliable player in the league because of injury. He has played 10 games since 2019. You cannot rely on a halfback that is not on the field. And look at Cam. This is what I was telling everybody about. This is what's going to happen. He was taken out of the game, not because he was hurt, but because he was playing like shit.
Yeah, he did play. He played poorly that game. I think he was like nine throws for 52 yards and a pick or something like that. It was bad. It was really bad for Carolina, but surprisingly, they may still have a chance to squeak into the playoffs. And so
it's just that 17th game it makes everything so much more confusing.
And so with that, both Miami and Carolina are still in the playoff hunt.
I'd like to see Miami over Carolina personally.
I would too.
Because I want to see Tua in postseason.
I do want to see that too, and I think Brian Flores is a good coach. And I want to see him in playoff contention.
I want to see him get more playoff experience. So 5 years or 6 years down the line, if he makes the playoffs, it's like okay, here Miami comes.
Yep.
Versus I want to see more like we are now.
You know who's another team in the AFC that I could just see in the wild card race? The Colts. And the Colts.
You've been saying that.
I know. But they had a really good game against the Buccaneers. But the Buccaneers and Tom Brady came away with a win, 38-31.
Got Brady.
You got Brady, and that's what we were saying last week. I told you that if this game is going to come down to the last possession, I trust Tom Brady to cash out than Carson Wentz,
without a doubt.
And ultimately, that's just what happens.
That's really what happens. It's Tom Brady doing Tom Brady things, and it's unfortunate that it's Carson Wentz versus Tom Brady, and Carson Wentz just will not be able to answer that.
Well, Carson Wentz did play extremely well.
He played well, yes, yeah. But again, it's Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Starting backup.
Well, Brady's going to do Brady things, and I hope we know we'll definitely be seeing Tom Brady in the playoffs. Yeah. But I want to see the Colts in the playoffs too. I think they're a good team.
Interesting to see them as like a wild card, possibly wild card game.
Well, it would depend if Indy gets their division.
That's fair.
So it would depend if they're both if Miami and Indianapolis are both wild cards, they would have to travel to said division winners. They would have either the third and the fourth seed respectively.
Right.
So, but with that being said, another team that I want to see in the playoffs, but I just don't think will make it, is the Chargers. And the Chargers got upset by the Broncos, 28-13. I smelt it, and you know what it is I like the Chargers, but they're just not a winning organization. They're not used to winning. And I think
it's too fresh for them.
It's too fresh for them, and I think that they really have to find their way. And I think some way along the way they kind of lost their way, but it was a good win, especially over the Steelers on that Sunday night, especially on a big stage as well. But like since then, they really haven't been able to do too much. I want to see them in the playoff contention, but surprisingly, the Broncos are right there too. They're 6-5.
I wouldn't mind seeing Denver. I really wouldn't mind seeing that. But, man, was that plummet to earth from Los Angeles insane for everybody. Everyone was saying it, that something you and I were saying it for 5 weeks straight, that something magic was happening in Los Angeles. Where'd it go? It fell into fourth quarter issues, unorthodox plays, really bad penalties late in the game, not being able to stop teams on third down and long. And here we are. Now we're questioning if they're a playoff team now. Yeah,
so Chargers, for your sake,
get it together.
This is where the season comes down. You have a month and a half, essentially.
You have 5 weeks.
So you have 5 weeks. If you win out, you'll be right there. But
I'll give you one loss in these 5 weeks.
Yep.
And then hope to God that people also lose in that 5 weeks.
But the Broncos are right there. They're 6-5, and they have a primetime game next Sunday against the Chiefs for the division.
In Arrowhead.
For the division. So we're going to keep an eye on that game as well. But moving on, the Green Bay Packers came away with a win over the Los Angeles Rams. What was it? 36-28. Whew. Man, Aaron Rodgers just getting it done, man. But also, I want to give a shout out. That Packers defense is playing well. They did give up 25, but it didn't feel like it really didn't feel like LA was in that game at all. Like once Green Bay took over, the Rams just could not come back.
No way. This is the best Green Bay defense we've seen since they won the Super Bowl.
Yes. Oh, 100%.
This Green Bay defense, it woke up like 3 weeks ago because it was almost, I wouldn't say non-existent, but it wasn't really there. You know what I mean? Like it was there. They were making their stops, but it wasn't like wave breaking. Now, they're the best defense in the league. They're one of them, if not the best.
I would say they're a top 5 defense.
Without a doubt. They're a top 5 defense in the league right now.
The scary part is they are not at 100%.
No.
Their best players are out with injury. And they're still winning games over high competition in the NFC. So the Packers are probably, in my opinion, right now, at this point in time, the Packers are the best team in football right now. They are absolutely playing the best right now.
As a collective unit,
yeah.
I can agree with you because they have the less issues and overcoming probably the biggest, I wouldn't like the most detrimental injuries to the most serene spots.
I do want to see I want to see Aaron Rodgers and Brady back at it in the playoffs. I want to see that rematch.
I would love to see that rematch.
Yes.
That would be such a game to talk about.
That would be an incredible game. I just can't wait for the playoffs because it's coming up soon.
Yeah, you're getting the itch for playoffs
I'm
too,
getting
right?
the itch for the playoffs because it's coming up soon. But let's move on to some teams in the NFC that I would hope to see in the playoffs, and that is the Minnesota Vikings and the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers came away with a strong win over the Vikings, 34-26. Kirk Cousins couldn't really get it done, but man, Niners looked good.
That little halfback of theirs, man, is freaking tough.
Elijah Mitchell.
That little halfback, dude, he is tough. He throws people around. He takes 5-6 people, and he takes them in for a ride, man. I like that running. I like that power running is back in the league, and it's a prominent source in the league now. But also on that same side, Dalvin Cook ain't no one to mess with. He's a bad dude.
He's a bad man. I also want to give a shout out to Deebo Samuel.
He's a bad man.
He's a bad man, and he wears chains like a G. And I want to give him a shout out. He is playing absolutely incredible. And the 49ers, they're staying alive.
But both of those teams, man, they could very well slip into this playoff hunt.
Absolutely, and it would be great to see either one of these teams in the playoffs later in January and February. But let's move on to the last game on Sunday. The last game on Sunday. My Ravens against the Browns. Woo! Ugly game. But the Ravens ultimately won 16-10. Ugly, 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 ugly game. Lamar had 4 picks. Nasty.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
4 picks. He had 3 in the second quarter. It was bad.
That's rough. That's a rough day.
Yeah.
But I can't say nothing because I had a 41-10 blowout loss. But that's a rough day.
I gotta say though, the Ravens made the plays that counted, and ultimately, hey, it was a low-scoring affair, but we came away with the win, and I'm happy for that, especially against the Browns. First divisional win for the Ravens this year. So we're 1-1 in divisional games. So, but man, what's going on with the Browns?
Baker's playing with 4 active injuries, 2 on his throwing arm. What do you mean? What's happening? He is playing so hurt, it's not even commendable at this point.
But
as a coach, how can you allow this man to be on the field?
But is their play as a team just derived from Baker's injury, or is there more to it?
There's more to it. You know, now Kevin Stefanski, I feel, is starting to lose the locker room because of the decisions he's had by having him. Mm-hmm. You know, Kareem Hunt being out hurts to the point him coming back, it helped. But now you have Kareem Hunt's father going on social media and talking about Baker, saying Baker Mayfield's scared to play. Of course this man's scared to play. He's playing with a fractured foot, a broken collarbone, and a torn labrum.
Yeah.
Of course he's playing scared. What do you mean? How can he not play scared? He's going up against 350-pound grown men who are not completely hurt. Yes, he's playing more timid. That's going to affect the way the offense runs. The defense, on the other hand, is a whole nother beast as to what's going on there. They started out, they were hot. Now they're playing moderate, but they're playing ugly. They're playing sloppy. Their pursuit is off. Their tackling is off. They're making ugly penalties. They're doing unsportsmanlike conducts. Again, it's just more of the Browns circus coming back to bite them now in Week 12.
Well, I wanna say specifically on defense. Watching that game, it seems that the Browns are playing, as we were talking about earlier, with the Jets, where it's like they have a lot of good players, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're playing good as a unit. And Miles Garrett playing unbelievable. He's playing.
Well, he's their superstar.
He's their superstar. Denzel Ward playing absolutely unbelievable as well. But aside from that, they're
in disarray.
They just don't play cohesive football or complementary football, where the defense can play well. If you told us last week that the Cleveland Browns defense is going to have 4 picks on Lamar and we're only going to score 16 points, you would think that we lost that game.
Without a doubt.
But the Browns only scored 10 points.
But again, that offense runs through the run game with Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb, but you also have to understand the consistency of Baker Mayfield is what runs that run game. He is a consistent quarterback. He throws for positive yards. It's what happens. What's weird is he has a stat where he's better when he's scrambling versus in the pocket. That is still a consistent stat with him.
Yeah.
He is still a better quarterback when the pocket collapses and he has to run out of the way and throw an unorthodox throw. Weird stat. I don't understand how he's that consistent.
I gotta say though, it reminded me like the Steelers and Browns earlier this year, where it was 15-10, and again, where a team that's like struggling on offense, and you only limit them to 15 points, and you would think that you won that game. No, you only put up 10. Right. So at the end of the day, it was an ugly win, but I'm happy that we won over the Browns. But let's move on to the final game of this past week, and that was the Seahawks versus Washington football team. And Washington came away with a win, 17-15. Ron Rivera getting it done. I sent you a video. Ron Rivera getting pumped after the game.
I love that man.
I love that man too.
Ron Rivera is like the epitome of the man that you just have the utmost respect for at all times. No matter what that man does, beginning, present, past, it's just you have to respect Ron Rivera. He just emulates power. That's a powerful man right there. I think he would be one of the coolest fucking guys to hang out with too. Honestly.
No, you know what it is he's one of those people. He's one of those coaches that commands respect.
Yeah.
He's similar in the vein of Mike Tomlin, where it's like just
being around him.
It's just being around him. No bullshit.
That's it.
No bullshit.
No bullshit. You give me no bullshit, I'll give you no bullshit. Is that it?
Yep.
You're a professional, I'm a professional.
Yep.
You're a grown man, I will not I will not baby you. And you'll either be here or you won't be.
Sad part is there seems to be a lot of bullshit in Seattle.
Yeah. with Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson, the not so well kept secret that Russell Wilson doesn't want to be in Seattle anymore.
So, look, I'm not going to speculate anything. I'm not going to go into what ifs or anything about Seattle, but all I will say is there's going to be some big changes in Seattle this offseason.
Bomb is going to drop in Washington, and people aren't going to be ready.
In Washington?
Seattle?
You said Washington?
Seattle, Washington.
Okay. I thought you were talking about the football team.
I am. The Seattle Washington Seahawks. Obama's going to drop in Washington that people aren't going to be ready for. It's the
See,
same...
right there, I thought you said Obama. Obama's going to drop in Washington.
No.
Beautiful. But with that being said, those were this past week's slate of games. And right now, we're going to try... This episode's a little special to us. We're going to try something a little different.
Yeah.
Where this episode, we're just going to talk about the rivalry of the Ravens and the Steelers. Because this is like the passion, the pride of football, the passion, the rivalry. Yeah. It is
this
absolutely
is the best
incredible.
rivalry in football.
Hands down.
It's without a doubt the best rivalry in football, and it's not close. People try to argue the Giants and the Cowboys. No. Doesn't happen. People try to argue the Bills and the Patriots. No. Sorry. We're better. We're tougher. We're stronger. We're harder. But there's always more respect there.
Yeah. So, for those of you who may not know us and know how we got into football, I got to say, this man got me into football by showing me highlight reels of big hits of big players just hitting in football, and it was Brian Dawkins, Brian Urlacher,
Ray
Ray
Lewis,
Lewis,
Troy
Polamalu.
Polamalu, James Ferrier, Lamar Woodley. I tried to make him a Steelers fan with me, being that he was one of my best friends. I was like, yo, you want to play football? You want to be a football fan? Join my team. This motherfucker saw the highlights, was like, pause, rewind. Who's that? Who's he looking at? Ray Lewis. I go, please don't. He goes, that's my team. Points at it right then. That day, he became a Ravens fan.
Yep.
I'll never forget that day. That day broke my heart.
But man, it's been so worth it because this rivalry is why I just love football so much, because these games between these two teams, they're so meaningful for not only the teams themselves because of how deep this rivalry is, but every game is meaningful. So we have this game coming up this week in Baltimore. So it's going to be, both teams are kind of on shaking ground right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough for them to really get their offenses going, but their defenses are clicking for the most part. Hurt, but clicking.
Right.
So with that being said, it's gonna, for the Steelers, it's more so staying alive within the division, because you can still get the division. Mm-hmm. You need a lot of help, but you gotta win your divisional games against the Browns and you lost to the Bengals. Swept by the Bengals actually since 2009. Yep. Since 2009. So
yep, that is true.
But with that being said, the Steelers are still alive in the playoff hunt, because the AFC, as we were saying last week, the AFC runs deep. Mm-hmm. And as for the Ravens, we have the best record in the AFC right now. If the playoffs were to start this week, we would actually be the number 1 seed. Mm-hmm. However, we've been playing scary close games.
Yes, you have.
As of late. But getting back to the rivalry, the fact that this game is very meaningful for the teams going forward in the playoff race, but we also end the season in Pittsburgh. So that game right there, no matter how the rest of the weeks play out, that game is going to be probably the most significant game for both teams. It's just it always works out that way, where like if the Steelers and the Ravens have to play late in the season, that last game is crucial.
It's always going to be that game matters the most out of most games in the season. But let me backtrack for a second. You were just talking about records. Let me throw a record at you.
Okay.
For those who don't know, Mike Tomlin, Jim Harbaugh, right?
John Harbaugh.
Not Jim.
Our respective coaches.
Right. We have played a collective 30 times facing each other.
This will be the 30th time.
This will be the 30th time, yes. Yeah. We differ we split those games by a game. Let me explain. The Steelers are 15-14 against the Ravens, meaning the Ravens are 14-15 against the Steelers.
Under John
Harbaugh and Mike Tomlin playing each other. You want to talk about a rivalry that goes neck and neck, and of those 29 games, we looked it up earlier.
Yep.
21 of them have come within a single possession.
Yep.
And I'm sure that a good percentage of them have come within 3 points.
Yes. Oh, I can think of plenty of games that came within 3 points against the Ravens and Steelers.
I could think of 10 or more.
Throughout this past decade, every game has been just crucial, and it seems that this game, whoever really wins like these games, kind of it really defines the series. It really defines like the teams going forward in not only the playoffs but the rest of the season.
Yeah.
And I could recall multiple times in this past decade where the Ravens have beat the Steelers late in the season and then carry that momentum into the playoffs.
And vice versa.
And vice versa, where the Steelers come away big over the Ravens and then and beat them in the playoffs more times than not. Mike Tomlin has actually beat John Harbaugh in the playoffs, I believe 2-1, but the last time they played, the Ravens beat the Steelers in the playoffs in the wild card round. Yep. I believe that was in 2014 or so, if I'm not mistaken.
2014 or 2015, I'm not sure which one. So one of those.
Yeah. But nevertheless, so these games are absolutely no other coaches have played each other more times than John Harbaugh and Mike Tomlin
since the 1960s.
Yes,
Since the start of the Super Bowl era, which was, I believe, 1965.
Just about, yep.
So, yeah. History's being made tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Well, Sunday night, ladies and gentlemen.
On Sunday night, on the 4:25 game, this is going to be so exciting. And I got to say, in regards to this game, look, both teams last week
shit the bed.
Really played ugly. I want to just get to your Steelers just for a little bit because Ben, like it's weird because Ben is the most important piece for the Steelers, and actually we were talking about this off air. Both quarterbacks are the most integral part of each team, and without them, the team would just not be
what it is
sustainable. Yeah, exactly. So because there's a big drop off, the Ravens, we have Lamar Jackson, but our backup quarterback is Tyler Huntley, and he's good, but he's not Lamar. Lamar's incredible, and the drop off is incredible. And as for the Steelers,
we have Ben Roethlisberger, and our selected backup is Mason Rudolph. When again, me and I know a couple of Steelers fans that agree with me that it should be Dwayne Haskins getting that title. Dwayne Haskins should be our backup. A bunch of people feel that he would make a more definitive difference if he needed to come up and answer that call on the type of offense that we have now, being that Najee Harris is taking more of a focal point as a leader, even though he's a rookie, and you need to have that Ben Roethlisberger there. But this will soon and very shortly become Najee Harris's team.
Oh, absolutely. And no matter who is going to be the quarterback for the Steelers next year, they're going to lean on him more.
Oh, without a doubt.
And Najee's going to, and being that he knows what to expect this year, or that this is his rookie year, he'll go into the offseason, work out, and I would not be surprised if he bulked up a little bit more in the offseason. I can see
him gaining like 10, 15 pounds of muscle, but I don't want him to lose that sideline speed.
Oh, no.
He has that acceleration that we all wish Derrick Henry had. He's Derrick Henry with more acceleration. Derrick Henry is... everyone knows I love Derrick Henry. He's the king. Unfortunately, he's out for the rest of the season, but his one flaw always was that he was like a revving chainsaw. You had to get him started. And once he started, he didn't stop. Najee Harris don't need that. He's a push to start.
Yep.
He's a push to start. And then he goes. So that's the difference between them two, and I feel like over time that's going to make Najee Harris probably one of the most dominant running backs in the league in years to come.
And honestly, I'll be honest, looking at this game right here, I think Najee Harris is probably going to be the big difference maker.
Yes.
Because if Mike Tomlin decides to really lean on Najee, and as we were saying the entire year, what have we been saying?
Run the ball
and split the load.
But now they have that mantra, they are starting to play well. But now injuries, COVID, and what have you are starting to affect us, which is unfortunate. And we have struggled to put points on the board for the last 5 years. It's been a long time that we've been struggling to put points on the board.
Well, this year especially.
And last year we struggled. The year before that we struggled when we went 8-8.
Yep. Because think of it like this: the Steelers have only scored over 30 points one time this year, and that was against the Chargers. And you guys lost.
Yeah, we lost that game because Justin Herbert did something special. That game.
That was just an incredible pass to Mike Williams and stuff. But nevertheless, it comes down to complementary football. Because as much as the Steelers can, if they can stop people on defense and they can stop a lot of good offenses, but if you still just can't, if you just can't put points on the board more than what your opponent's putting up, you're gonna lose that game.
Well, yeah, that's
just
just the way football is. And that's the way any sport is. You can't put more points up. That's just, you're not going to win.
Exactly. And specifically, getting back to you guys, that's why you guys couldn't get a win over the Lions. You just couldn't score any more points over them.
Well, yeah, but respectfully, they couldn't either.
Exactly.
So,
but honestly, you guys are still a good team, and I'm not counting you guys out of the playoff hunt by any means. But man, give Najee about 20 to 25 rushes, and that's going to really hurt the Ravens because our defense is not what it was. And as much as I like to think that we have a good defense,
You've been trying to argue that you guys have like a top 20 defense since the beginning of this.
I wouldn't say 20 because that's not even a good defense at that point. That's bottom 12 at that point.
Well, you guys had a middle of the road,
Exactly. We had
a
middle
nowhere near middle of the road, man. You guys are bottom 12.
Well, I hope that after this bye week, this was the first game that we can't. Wait, did we come out of our bye week?
I think your bye week was 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
I think so.
But
look it up actually.
Since coming from our bye week, I gotta say our defense has been playing a lot better. Again, good players, but not a cohesive unit. I don't trust our second and third string quarterbacks because that loss of Marcus Peters in the preseason was detrimental to how we play as a defense because we like to play a man blitz defense, which essentially we just send 5 guys at the quarterback and then everyone else play man coverage and have either a safety in the backfield or not. Right. But nevertheless, we can't do man coverage without Marcus Peters. And being that the Steelers have we have a
plethora of receivers that we could throw at you all day.
Wide receiving core. They just match up against the Ravens defense too well. And that's the scary part where it's like this game is going to be, well, these teams have always matched up well against each other.
Well, yeah, again, 21 out of 29 coming within, it's going to coming within a possession. It's the way everybody who has watched a Ravens and Steelers football game from beginning to end knows how it is. The first quarter is a full-blown feeling out process for both teams. It's just what it is. We feel each other out. We try to see how this game's going to go. We're going to try and see what we can get away with as a team. What can we get away with? What can't we get away with? We're going to see some stupid penalties in the beginning. It's the way it always goes. The second quarter is going to be the cleanest quarter of the game. All the time. That's where you're going to see the cleanest football out of us. Up until the last 3 minutes of the game. Because the second half of the second quarter and the beginning of the third quarter, we're going to see nothing but lockdown defense from both teams. It's going to be mistakes on the offense that are made by the defense. It's going to be that's what I mean. Not offensive mistakes. It's going to be defensive overpower.
Defensive playmaking.
Correct. Both defenses are going to be overpowering our mutual offenses to the point where it's going to be a stalemate. This is why our games come between one possession, is because of the defensive stalemate that happens in the crux of the game. Between the second and the end of the fourth quarter, it is a defensive stalemate through and through.
And it's just going to be, but when the big play happens, it matters.
That's where the battle of attrition comes in.
And that's the thing, though. It's the way Mike Tomlin has always attacked the Ravens, and just seeing it is obviously pressure on the quarterback, but don't give up the big play. And there are times where, the Steelers have given up the big play, but now with the personnel that they have, they just don't.
We can't get the big play right now.
And so what he's gonna do is he's gonna force Lamar to kind of do what it's gonna be with Patrick Mahomes, where it's like keep everything contained and don't let anything escape on the outside. Don't let Hollywood escape on the outside or on a go route or anything like that, because Lamar's gonna find it and take it. And so
Honestly, I gotta tell you, I like the matchup between Hollywood and Cam Sutton.
Yeah,
I like that matchup a lot.
Yeah,
number 2 on number 2, I like that a lot.
I also just keep an eye out for Bateman because I think that might be. I'm still waiting for a breakout game by Bateman.
It's not. I don't think it's going to happen this season. I would say wait for it to be next season.
Maybe. I don't know. I want to see it this year.
I know you do, and I would like to see it happen, but don't expect it to happen this game.
I gotta say,
don't expect it to happen this game, man, because you're gonna end up disappointed.
But what about our breakout rookie this year, Odafe Owe?
He was actually someone I was gonna say is gonna be the difference maker on your team. You're saying Najee Harris. This man's gonna blow up our young offensive line. Again, we have one of the youngest offensive lines in the league, left to right. I think we have an average age of like 27. So we're young. We have a rookie, a sophomore, a 3-year, a rookie, and a sophomore. Again, we went into the season with 7 rookies on our starting lineup. So everyone's playing fresh, and away is a shining star on your defense. He is going to be lethal in 2 years.
Yeah.
In 2 years, he is going to be the next Aaron Donald.
I'd like to see that because
he's going to be absolutely unbelievable. He has a swim move like Von Miller, and he has the strength of Michael Strahan. He is unfreaking believable, and he's going to meet Najee Harris in the middle at the line of scrimmage all game, and he's going to harass the hell out of us. So we have to find a way to keep him contained, as well as Patrick Queen.
Yeah, Patrick Queen.
I'm worried about Patrick Queen too. Because he's the one who kind of like picked up where Terrell Suggs left off, with just wanting to tear Roethlisberger's ass. I'm worried about this defense coming in and just harassing our offense to the point where we really can't get much going. Where I feel our offense can kind of get you guys is over the middle.
Yes.
Again, you're lacking middle linebacker, and our Freiermuth, man, I think he might have a big game if it's needed.
Well, you know who's going to be on that specific matchup? Tyus Bowser on Freiermuth.
I like that matchup.
I like that matchup too.
That is going to be such a and that right there is the matchup that's going to make or break Freiermuth this season. That is his toughest matchup, I feel.
Oh, of course.
And he had the best thing about this with all these rookies on the Steelers. They haven't felt this yet.
Yeah.
So this is new to them. But the thing is, they're coming out of college from college rivalries. You don't watch college ball. Mm-hmm. I do. And those of you who do watch college ball can agree with me. When it's rivalry week and when the bowl games come around, oh my God, the energy is on a different level. That's why you watch people in college ball, they storm the field after the game is won. Because it's just an explosion of energy, and that's what happens. If it wasn't such high security in NFL, I'm sure it would happen when it comes to this game.
I mean, it was fun to see it back in like the 70s,
the 70s and 80s when shit like that went down.
That was fun to watch in the NFL. But man, these games for like the Ravens and Steelers, man, these games are just, they always come down to the wire too.
Always.
And it's always going to be the fourth quarter where it matters the most.
Yeah, and always. It's going to come down to the last 3 minutes again, because this is going to be the biggest game of attrition. This is the conditioning game. We've been talking about this on and off throughout the season, how this is a game of attrition and conditioning. You guys want to see the true game of conditioning? It's this Sunday, Pittsburgh versus Baltimore. You're going to see 4 quarters worth of fist fight. It's going to be a fist fight the entire game. Not as even if, let's say, the Pittsburgh Steelers played bad, they're not going to leave you alone. They're just going to be in your face. They are not going to roll over. They're going to fight, and you're going to see something happen that you would not expect. And I don't even know what the hell that might be.
You know what? I got to say, the Ravens, so last year, the Steelers swept the Ravens both times. Now, the first game in Baltimore, it started off, Lamar threw a pick six.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
It started off that way. And all throughout the game, it was nip-tuck, but ultimately the Steelers just kind of kept the lead, held the lead, and the Ravens just couldn't come back. And they just couldn't score when they needed to. And their play calling at the end was questionable
at best.
Questionable. And but it felt like we were the better team, and yet we still lost. To me personally, that's how it felt. But
you always feel like you're the better team when you play us.
well, this year especially,
yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Going into this week, you guys are the best team. I'll give you that.
But last year as well, the second time around, where it was basically the COVID game where we played on like a Wednesday.
Oh yeah, you guys played the COVID Bowl.
And it was the COVID Bowl. Ben was still
Ben was dumb hurt.
He was dumb hurt, but he was playing. But that was actually from that point on, that was the decline of the Steelers.
Well, yeah, we lost that game and then proceeded to lose 4 straight after that.
Well, you won,
or 5 straight.
You won against us, but the following week you lost on Monday night against Washington.
Right, and then from there on, the rest is history. We went from 11-0 to 11-5 and out of the playoffs.
12-4.
12-4, right?
Yeah, because you got the division, and then Cleveland came to you. Yep,
you're right.
So, but man, this game counts, and it counts more than anything. And I think the Ravens are going into this game with like, man, we could have won those games last year. Like we could have absolutely won those games again, both within a possession. I believe for the first go around it was 28-24, and then the second go around it was like 19-16 or something like that. So it was tight. It was or 19-15 or whatever.
It was something like that. Yeah, it was within a touchdown.
Yeah,
but I want to look up what the percentage of those games were within a field goal, because I'm sure they're going to say it during this game too. I'm telling you, it's more than 10 games.
Oh, absolutely.
It's more than 10 games that have happened between 1 and 3 points that this decision was decided. So that is the extent of how deep that rivalry goes, and just how evenly matched these teams really are. Save for this season, because you guys are on paper the better team. You guys are not the better coach, though. Sorry.
Well, I mean, Harbaugh and Tomlin are
they're neck and neck coaches. They're neck and neck coaches. And I'm not going to say they're not when they play each other. I'm talking about outside of when we play each other. We are the better coach team.
Well, typically most of the time, yeah. Like, because you guys, when you guys play other competition, Mike Tomlin is more than like 9 times out of 10 going to be the better coach.
Correct. That's the reputation that precedes Mike Tomlin.
Yeah.
John Harbaugh, after he leaves Mike Tomlin and they go head to head and he coaches up to the same caliber of Mike Tomlin, he falls in line and goes into the pack of coaches. Mm-hmm. That's what I mean by that. No disrespect to Mr. Harbaugh.
I see what you mean.
But that's where it splits. Mm-hmm. Where you have Mike Tomlin up here, you have John Harbaugh, who's just a little bit down here until they play each other, and he just taps into another level, and it's like, I know who I'm facing. This is what it's going to be. I'm ready to fight.
Oh, yeah. And both coaches are going to get their teams ready to play this week.
Yeah. They know more. Both coaches know exactly what they're going to go up against. Again, this is the 30th time they've played. They know exactly what's going to happen. They base probably the entire game, but you can almost guarantee that every single person in Pittsburgh and Baltimore right now has butterflies in their stomach and cannot wait for this game to happen.
I know I cannot wait for this game to happen.
I cannot wait for this game. It is so exciting to see this game again.
Oh, absolutely.
And the fact that we had to wait until week 13 makes it all that much better.
And I love it when we play each other late in the year, because they just mean so much more.
It really does.
But with that being said, you want to pick some games this week?
Yeah, I feel like it's time that we just pick the games for the rest of the week.
Okay, I'm with it. Let's pick some games this week.
All right, so the first game that we got is Dallas versus New Orleans. Now, this is going to be an interesting game.
I don't know. I know a lot of people are coming back for New Orleans. I know Taysom Hill is expected to return. Alvin Kamara, he's a maybe. He might be a game time decision, but I think he was back at practice this week. And for the Cowboys, Mike McCarthy is out with COVID, but Mike McCarthy doesn't really do shit.
He stands there. He's like a mitigator, and he just lets the stars do the work.
They may win because, hey, Mike McCarthy's not here. Let's just win this game. so you know what? New Orleans is that, again, they've been that 50-50 team all year, and they've been on kind of on the downhill track for the past couple games.
But mostly due to injury.
But with that being said, I'm going to take the Cowboys. I just trust what I see more in the Cowboys. They don't play that good on the road, but I think they'll play just good enough to beat New Orleans.
Yeah, I'm with you and with Dallas, man. You know, I have faith in Dallas this year. I have a lot of faith in Dallas this year, actually. They're playing really well. You know, I have no love lost for Dallas. I have a lot of faith in them this year. I'm putting some faith in Dallas this year.
Guys, he's scaring me right now.
I'm putting some faith in Dallas. I don't want them to disappoint me when it comes to this season. I'm not expecting immortality. I'm nowhere near expecting that. But division clinch is a surefire. You know, clinch your division. Possibly win a playoff game. I would like to see a definite playoff win. So if you guys can win a playoff game, that's huge progression for Dallas.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I'm going to go with Dallas for this game in particular.
Keep an eye out for Micah Parsons, number 11, on that Dallas defense.
He is ridiculous. Moving on to the Giants and Miami.
Sources said that Daniel Jones is actually hurt with like a neck injury, but he's not ruled as out. But I think they're going to be practicing him today, on Wednesday, Thursday, and then have an evaluation on Friday. And with that being said, he may just be a game time decision. But even if he is starting, I'm taking Miami. Miami just seems to be clicking, and they had a very rough start, but it seems that they kind of found their way. And I think they may have found their way against the Ravens on that Thursday night. But they've been playing very well, and I got to give them credit. So I'm going to take Miami.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Miami too. I want to see another game like that come from Tua, and I want to see, like you said, that defense was clicking. I've been talking about that defense for a couple weeks now. That defense is nothing to trifle with. You know, put them in the wrong position, and they will pounce on you. I like that Miami defense. They're missing a couple pieces. I like that Miami offense. We were saying early on that they were missing a running back. They picked up Phillip Lindsay right under people's noses, and look at them now. They had the best game of the season last week.
It was a strong win against Carolina, and I'm very happy to see Miami doing well, and especially Tua.
So I want to see more.
I want to see more too.
And so the next game we got is Philly versus the Jets. Got a little bit of a division swap for the week between the Giants and the Jets.
Yeah, and seems that if both New York teams are trying to do each other the favor, but
yeah,
but nevertheless, you know, I like Philly this game, and I'm going to take Philly because even though the Eagles had a really tough time against the Giants last week, I really chalk that up to divisional game because the Giants know the Eagles. I think that the Eagles, they don't really, obviously they don't play the Jets, they play them every 4 years. But in regards to this game, I just think that they're just the better team, and I like the way Jalen Hurts is balling over that Jets defense. And I think that I'll take Philly on this one.
I respect it. And again, you know, I'm a fan of Jalen Hurts, but that was a very skeptical loss against the Giants, I feel.
Okay.
You know, that was a sketchy loss for them, man. That you chalk it up for division loss. I hope that's the case. But this week, I think I'm going to go with the Jets. You know, I think I smell an upset here. There's something about that Jets defense. Like when they glimmer, man, they're good. So I feel like that Jets defense might have an opportunity to hold them to a low score as well.
Wait. You're telling me you like the Cowboys and you like the Jets this
No.
week?
Whoa.
I'm saying this week.
Whoa.
This week.
Yes, this week. I'm putting faith in the Jets and the Cowboys.
You're scaring me, mate.
It is what it is.
You're scaring me.
It is what it is. We're going to move on to Arizona and Chicago.
I'm taking your man, Colt McCoy.
You motherfucker.
Arizona seems to still be playing well, even with their best players injured. They're just winning games. And Cliff Kingsbury, he is probably going to get Coach of the Year if Arizona keeps and wins their division, respectfully.
Oh yeah.
But the Bears are struggling. And as much as I like to see Justin Fields and I want to see him develop, but it's just the Bears have so many things going for them that's going wrong that I just don't see them beating the Cardinals this week. So I'm going to take Arizona over the Chicago this week.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Arizona on sheer chemistry alone. It seems like the Bears are kind of starting to implode on themselves, kind of like what we're seeing in Vegas, but down the octave with off-the-field situations for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like Chicago is starting to implode, and I don't like it. It's a lot of issues coming from Chicago, a lot of issues on that defense, a lot of issues coming from the front office. I hope it gets cleaned up between now and the offseason. I do not hope that they get rid of Matt Nagy. I really hope they decide to keep him. I really hope they invest in Justin Fields. But that all remains to be seen for the continuation of the season into next season. We're going to move on to Tampa versus Atlanta.
Well, I'm gonna take Tampa, but I'm gonna say it's gonna be a lot high scoring game than Tom Brady would like it to be. That Bucks defense is not good, and it's and as much as we have the perception of that they have good players, they must be good. They're letting up not only a lot of points but a lot of yards, and teams are being able to score 30 points on them, 31 points on them, and I don't think Atlanta is going to score enough to win, but it's going to be, I think, one of those high scoring affairs. But I'm going to take the Bucks to ultimately win that.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Bucks as well. Not more so for Tampa being that team, more so for Atlanta being that team. And let me explain. That is Atlanta being the notorious team to not have a defense. You cannot, and I repeat, cannot not have a defense going up against Tom Brady. You don't have a single star on your defense to make any type of commotion against Tom Brady. You have no one on your defensive line to go and try and cause pressure. We all know that's his Achilles heel is pressure. He does not like being pressured. You don't have one person to send after him. He's going to throw all over you. Okay, now the ball's in the air. Who do you have to defend the ball? Every freaking receiver in Tampa is faster than your secondary. I'm sorry, you're beat. That offense is going to run all over you. Sure, Matt Ryan's going to get his yards. He's going to get his points. That's the way it's going to be. But that's the way Tom Brady plays. He's just going to outscore you, and whatever you do is just going to be irrelevant come the third quarter.
Yep.
Yep. This is not going to be a pretty affair, I don't feel. This is going to be a high-scoring game, but it's going to be a much cleaner game from Tampa all around.
Okay. I can see that.
Moving on to the Los Angeles Chargers and the Cincinnati Bengals.
Man, as much as I want the Chargers to win, I just feel the Bengals are the better team, and they're rolling high on momentum, especially after that impressive win over you guys last week. So they have high expectations for themselves, and as much as I want the Chargers to win, the Bengals are just seem to be the better complementary, the team to execute complementary football. So I'm going to take the Bengals to win this game.
You say high on momentum, I say freaking high on life. They've been doing this all season. Yeah. They are high on life right now, man.
They are.
They're one of those teams that hit Cloud 9 this season, and they are staying there. A lot of teams, they decided to drop off. We're talking about Buffalo. We're talking about the Chargers. We're talking about a couple of other teams. But they're staying there. They are riding very high right now. They are the better team this week. I feel like they were the better team weeks ago, too. I feel like they're going to continue to be the better team because, like you said, the Chargers they're too new to winning.
Yeah.
The difference there, of course, is, I'm going to say it like I've been saying it, Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, they are the duo that's used to winning.
Yep.
They're used to winning. They're coming from an elite college group, LSU.
Yep.
So that's just emulating here, just in a different jersey.
Yeah, and I believe a reporter asked Joe Burrow last week, how does it feel to beat the Steelers? And he's like, we have higher expectations than beating the Steelers. And it shows, man, because they're playing very well.
They're playing for greatness. It's really what it is.
Fuck the Bengals. I hate them.
We're going to move on to the Minnesota Vikings and the Detroit Lions.
Oh, man, divisional game. I'm not taking you, Detroit. I'm not picking you again. I'm taking Minnesota. But watch. They might win this game now. Because fucking Detroit. I'm taking Minnesota.
I said it off air that this could be the one game that they win. So I'm going to go Minnesota, but I'm just going to keep that one on the record that I said off air that this could be the one game that Detroit wins.
Could be. I don't know. He ain't picking it, though.
I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I laughed at you every time you did. We're going to move on to Indianapolis and Houston.
Man, even though Indianapolis lost last week, they've been playing very well these past couple weeks, and I think that they're going to be in the playoffs, and I would like to see them in the playoffs. And with that, I think a win over Houston is going to keep them alive and keep bolster their win column and be in good contention to be in the hunt in January.
Yeah, they're the better team going into this week against Houston. I don't hold anything back against Carson Wentz, but he here is the better quarterback. They are the better team. They are better coach. They are the better franchise right now. Houston is a circus as well as Jacksonville. They are the same team with a different color. Sure, they eked out a couple of wins as well. They are the same team. Same team. Indy's going to win. Moving on to Washington versus Las Vegas. This could be an interesting one now.
See, with Vegas, it's like, which Vegas team is it going to be?
Same question for Washington.
Exactly.
Which Washington defense comes out?
Exactly. Because Washington, when they play good, they can beat the best. They can beat Tom Brady. But and the Raiders, they have shown that they can beat the best. They have beaten the Chiefs last year they beat the Chiefs.
Yeah.
And so when these teams play well, they could beat any team.
I'm also going to give a quick shout out to Derek Carr for leading the league in yards per game with 330 yards per game now.
He's having his best year so far.
Oh my God, yeah. When it's not even close.
But with that being said, I'm going to take Washington this game.
You're gonna hope that defense comes back.
I hope not hope for the defense to come back, but I put my faith more in Ron Rivera than just that team holding on to Derek Carr.
Okay, I respect that. See, this one's tough for me. I want Vegas. I want to vote for Vegas.
I know you do. I know really you do.
But with the disarray that's happening, I just can't put that much faith in them because of how deflated they really are. Again, there are times where they're showing signs of life, but signs of life aren't going to get it done in Week 13 now.
No.
Especially with the teams that are now starting to pick up momentum again, i.e. Washington. I.e. they are picking up a lot of steam right now. They may not be winning profoundly, but they're playing freaking tough. They're one of the toughest teams to touch the field, win or lose.
Consider this. Who are you taking?
I'm going to go Washington on this game.
Okay. Consider this, though. Washington, they are, I believe at this point in time, 5-6.
Mm-hmm.
So Dallas is 7-4.
Mm-hmm.
They're not that far. If Dallas slips up and Washington just keeps up what they're
doing what they're doing, they're going to end up at the front of the division.
They could. So if Dallas slips, Washington may sneak in there.
That's right.
But let's move on to the next game.
We're going to move. Don't ask me that.
Who you got?
We're going to move on to Jacksonville and the Rams.
Who you got?
Jacksonville. No. No. I'm sorry. No.
This man looked me dead in my face in Jacksonville. I knew this man was lying from the start.
Nope. I'm going to go with the Rams, and it's not going to be pretty. Von Miller, Aaron Donald are going to have a day on Mr. Lawrence, and it's going to be unfortunate for Mr. Lawrence to have to beat them so profoundly for so many times. The Rams, and it's going to be probably like a 30-point difference.
I'm taking the Rams, but I will say this: the Rams haven't been playing well as of late, and
but the Jacksonville Jaguars are not a good team.
They're not a good team, but you should beat the Jags, and that's the thing.
That's a game you need to win for any team. I said it earlier. I'll say it again. And again, any given Sunday, that defense on Jacksonville could just show up.
Josh Allen could
show up on defense. So he doesn't want to play in Buffalo this week. He goes and plays in Jacksonville. I don't know. It's December. It's getting cold. We can see. Moving on to San Francisco and Seattle, another rivalry game.
It's another rivalry game, but man, Seattle is not the team that they once were, especially last year. They just are not the team. A couple weeks ago last year, and they have the same record as the Jets. I repeat, at this point in time, the Seattle Seahawks have the same record as the Jets. I'm taking the 49ers to win this game, and I expect to see a lot of offseason changes in Seattle this offseason.
Well, yeah, like I said, there's going to be a lot of waves made in Seattle come this offseason. again, it's not a very well-kept secret that Russell Wilson wants out. It's also not a very well-kept secret that he's married to Ciara, and Ciara needs to be in the big city. So there's really only a couple of big cities where she kind of wants to go, and everyone knows if you got that ring on, the wife tells you where to go and you listen. No matter how much money you make, the wife makes the decision on where you live. It's just what happens. Rumor has it that the Giants are going to make a blockbuster trade for him. Could be interesting, but that's just the rumor wheel spinning right now. So I like the way the rumor wheel spins sometimes. So you could hear a little bit of the rumor wheel from me. I like that.
But who you taking this game? Who you got?
I'm taking San Francisco this week.
Okay.
Moving on to our game. Pittsburgh versus Baltimore.
Who you got?
This man really just asked me who I got. I'm going Pittsburgh, boy. What you mean? Who you got? Yeah, how'd that feel?
Baltimore.
So, obviously, ladies and gentlemen, we are split on that game. You let us know in the comments who you think is going to win this game. This game means a lot to us.
Absolutely. Oh.
We're going to move on to the primetime game, which is Denver and Kansas City in Arrowhead for their division.
Yeah.
Had to put all that in there because that's just how important that game is.
It's weird because you wouldn't think the Broncos as one of the teams to be competing for their division, but here they are.
Here they are.
I'm taking the Chiefs, though. I think Kansas City, they really cleaned up a lot of their act in the early part of the season. They cleaned up on the turnovers a lot, and that makes a hell of a difference. And they don't need to play over-the-top football. They just need to just score points and keep it simple. And I think that's what Andy Reid really emphasized to the team is like, look, let's not overthink this. Just keep it simple, do what we do best, and just try to score points. And with that, I'm going to take the Chiefs, but I think this is going to be a lot closer of a game than people will expect.
I definitely feel like this is going to be a lot closer of a game, but I think I smell another upset here.
Ooh.
I really do, because that defense really gives up a lot of yards, and Denver plays well in December. They play well in the cold.
They do.
And as we were talking about in September, Andy Reid is lethal in September. He's not so lethal in December. Lest we forget, in February, he didn't score a touchdown in the Super Bowl. So the winter, say what you want, the winter might take a toll on Andy Reid. I feel like that's where we might be seeing something change here. And I think I'm going to take Denver on this game. I think the elements are going to start. I think the elements get to Kansas City, and that's going to become this is why they're not doing well right now, because the weather change until they start realizing what pieces they need. So I'm going to be the first one to drop that stone that Andy Reid has trouble playing in December.
Okay. It's funny because I believe last year the Chiefs and the Broncos played in Arrowhead, and it snowed. It was one of the snow games last year.
It was.
Chiefs won.
They did. But I'm still going to go Denver.
Okay, I respect it.
And then moving on to the final game, which again might be the game of the week, if it turns out to be a better game than what we got. Buffalo versus New England.
I actually kind of want to know who you got.
I'm going to go New England on this one. I like New England. I really like how they've been playing. However, the win streak that they're on has been against beat-up teams. They haven't been at the top. They've been playing consistently well, been doing well to win and win large. But every team that they've played, their offense has been hurt to the point where they can't answer. Now is the test.
Mm-hmm.
You have a healthy offense versus a healthy offense. You have a not-so-healthy defense missing one key piece.
Mm-hmm.
And you have a healthy defense, but not as pound-for-pound competitive, if that makes sense.
Who are you talking about? You talking
about
the
New England defense.
Okay.
The New England defense going tail of the tape against the Buffalo defense.
Mm-hmm.
Buffalo defense is one of the best defenses in the league, missing a key piece being that Tre'Davious White is out.
Mm-hmm.
New England is a very well-playing defense, but they don't have the power that the Buffalo defense has, if that makes sense, when it comes to competitiveness.
Well, they don't take the ball away as much as Buffalo does.
They don't cause as much mayhem.
Yeah, they get more stops, but they don't turn the ball over.
Right.
So it's not as Buffalo, when their defense is good, like they force fumbles, they make picks. Not saying that New England doesn't do that, but they don't do that as often as Buffalo does.
It's almost funny thinking about it right here and now. It's almost like what's happening in the AFC North. After years of beatings from New England, now keep in mind New England has beaten 3/4 of that division for years. One team is starting to come out of that. And look at how they look. It's
almost
Buffalo.
And they look almost I would say identical a little bit, but
just a little bit more athletic in the quarterback because Josh Allen is more athletic
and more explosive as an offense.
You put a quarterback that looks like Tom Brady in that offensive scheme in Buffalo, you have a mirror image New England Patriots.
Yeah. And I mean, Josh Allen is a pocket passing quarterback, but he can run. He can run.
You know, and that's the difference is that Tom Brady can't.
He
can now because it's such a soft league.
Yeah.
But 15 years ago, he would not even think.
He would not even try.
He would not even think. Now you see him running for 13 yards.
11, but he made sure it was 11.
Right. So I'm going to go New England on this game.
You know what? I'm going to go New England as well. I just think that they're playing probably the best complementary football right now in the stretch. And Bill Belichick in December is, I
lethal.
think, probably the best coach in December.
Yes, without a doubt.
And now he has a team that he wants. And man, that defense is disgusting. J.C. Jackson is a stellar piece. Matt Judon, like, absolutely having a resurgence in New England. Breaks my heart because
such a beautiful fit.
We should have paid him money, but we didn't. But nevertheless, New England is, I think right now, probably the better team over Buffalo.
I agree with that.
And as much as I hate to see it, and I hate to see the Patriots in the playoffs,
it's coming.
We're probably going to see the Patriots in the playoffs.
You know, it's their playoff team, and you know they may even be an AFC Championship team.
They could.
You know, and that's just how deadlocked the AFC is as a whole.
Yep.
All right, guys. There you have it. There's our games for the week, and there is the Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Baltimore Ravens tail of the tape this upcoming Sunday. Congratulations on the first 29, and here's to another 30.
Here's to another 30 matchups.
All right. Thank you guys for watching. Please give a like, a subscribe, a comment if you guys agree, disagree, who you think is going to win. We will be here next week as well. We are Let's Talk Football, and feel free to hit us up. There you go.